Rain and Hellfire is one of the most exciting missions in DMZ. You get to use the heavy chopper, which is something you hardly ever get to do in DMZ. It was only added very recently, and only one team will get to fly it about really, unless something super weird happens in the game. So it's something that's new to pretty much all of us. So the description for Rain and Hellfire involves you having to use a heavy chopper and kill a variety of enemies from the chopper itself. So you have to destroy a couple of vehicles, you have to kill a bunch of AI using rocket launchers, and you have to kill an operator. So in this video, I'll show you how we completed this game. This isn't exactly the best guide necessarily because one of the steps went super weird for us, but I'll show you what happened at least, and there's a lot of cool footage because this was super fun to do. Also, as an added bonus, I think there's maybe a loophole that would make this mission super easy, but I'll talk about that a little bit more at the end. As always, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like. You could even do it now just because, you know, you might forget later. And consider subscribing and turning your notifications on. So the first thing you're going to need to do is find yourself a rocket launcher because you're going to need to kill a bunch of AI from the helicopter using that rocket launcher. It's also a super easy way to kill maybe even an enemy player, but definitely destroy the vehicles you need to do for this mission. So you could bring one in as an insured weapon. I would maybe suggest against the Javelin because the rockets from that go up first and there's a chance that you'll just hit the helicopter that you're standing inside. So I would go with something like the Strela or the RPG or the Pila. Or if you've got a contraband one, that works too. If you don't have any rocket launchers that you can get at that way, you can just drive around the map. We always go to Tarak villages if we need a rocket launcher because there's a bunch of enemies that stand on rooftops and shoot at you with rocket launchers. So go over there and you should be able to find one. Next, you need to get the fuel for the helicopter. Now, apparently there's 5 different places that this can spawn. We've only ever found it on a cargo train. Like, it always seems to be there for us. So if you go to a cargo train, go to one of the covered carriages, you should be able to find the special heavy chopper fuel just sitting on a wooden box there. According to the subreddit r/DMZ, you can also find it in Hafid Port in the big L-shaped building. You can find it in the airport in the East Hangar. You can find it in Sutit Caves in the Smuggling Cave, which I guess is that underground cave where the water is as well. And you can find it in Rohan Oil, so where there's the big warehouse that the train goes through, there's some white trucks just outside there. Apparently it can be in the back of one of those. So there's 5 different places you could look for fuel, but you need to get at least one of them. One of those fuel canisters will completely fill the heavy chopper from the beginning because it starts with no fuel, and then after that you can just go to petrol stations in order to fill it up more, although that is easier said than done. So once you've got the fuel and you've got your rocket launcher, now you need to go find the heavy chopper. It spawns at one of 3 locations. It could be at Hafid Port, just out on one of the platforms. It could be at the airport, just sitting on the runway, or most of the time for us it seems to be on high rise, just in that middle section of it. There's only one heavy chopper per map and you can see the icon, so if it's not at any of those 3, that means somebody's already got away with it and you're going to have to go into a different game. Remember, if you have a secure backpack or you can make one, then you can keep that heavy chopper fuel, and obviously you can keep your rocket launcher ready for the next mission, ready to go get that helicopter. But anyway, once you've got into the helicopter, now you need to start completing those objectives. So you've got 3 objectives and 2 of them are super easy. You need to kill 5 AI using a rocket launcher. We did this in duo, so I was flying the helicopter around and Flynn was shooting the AI with the helicopter. Very, very simple, but you can do this solo very easily as well because this helicopter has the unique feature of staying in place when you get out of the pilot seat. So if you get it hovering in a place near some AI, you can just tap X to get out of it, and rather than jumping out of the side like a normal helicopter, you'll just go to walk around in the back of the helicopter and the helicopter will stay pretty much in the same place. So then you can look out of the back or look out of one of the side doors and then shoot the AI below. And obviously you do the same thing for vehicles. Maybe try and find some vehicles like quads and the sedans that are a little bit weaker, but you can destroy those very, very easily. Now, killing the player is kind of where my guide falls apart. There's one objective where you have to either kill an operator or you have to kill a commander from the helicopter. I think you have to kill the Juggernaut in particular. This is obviously something you could do. You could go find the Juggernaut and then shoot them from the helicopter, use a sniper rifle or something like that. Definitely possible. I'm not sure what the range on the Juggernaut DDoS is, but that could cause some kind of problems. But that's definitely something you could do. Or, I think even easier is just to try and find some players. If you've got a sniper rifle or you've still got that rocket launcher, just go find some players, maybe someone who's just on a UAV tower, someone who's doing a stronghold. Fly into the place where you can see them, shooting players from this helicopter helicopter when it's stationary, it's pretty easy. Because the heavy chopper is new and pretty rare, you don't really expect someone to snipe you from it, so I think killing a player from it would be pretty easy. But we didn't have to, and I'm not entirely sure why, although I have a theory. In the game before this one, so in the game where we didn't manage to find the heavy chopper fuel, we never managed to get on a heavy chopper, we did have a weird situation where when we went to extract, I got onto the helicopter, and then I heard someone just sort of smack the ground next to me. Now, these people have been sniping us a little bit before, but a guy smacked the ground and I finished him off. That meant technically I did kill him while I was on a heavy chopper. Not the one that you can fly around, but I was on the exfil chopper. Now, it didn't come up on my screen. It didn't come up saying like I'd suddenly got objective in that mission or anything like that. But when we did an exfil from that mission, then it said that I'd completed that bit of getting a kill from the heavy chopper. So I think it counts if you use the exfil chopper. And this has a kind of interesting implication that if you can do it from the exfil chopper, you could probably do the other objectives from it too. So obviously lots of AI usually come towards the exfil chopper, especially the final exfil, but even all of them, it normally triggers a few AI to come by. If you shot some AI with a rocket launcher from that exfil, I reckon that would probably count. And then you could just jump out before you actually leave the mission, call it in again, and do the same thing again. Similarly, you could just park a couple of vehicles behind where the exfil chopper does, then blow them up while on the helicopter. Now, I haven't tested this because we completed the mission straight after it. We didn't really realise what had happened until I'd already finished it, and now I finished it, we can't do the mission again. But please let me know in the comments if this works, if you can do this entire thing without ever having to actually fly the heavy chopper yourself and just do the whole thing from the exfil chopper. That would be super interesting, because if you can, that's probably a lot easier. And even killing players from the heavy chopper isn't too bad. Loads of you are always complaining that there's loads of people camping exfil and stuff like that, so just use smokes to get on a chopper when you've got enemies nearby, and then kill one of those enemies from the helicopter. Or, you know, if you see other players doing an exfil, you could try and very quickly get onto their helicopter and kill them while you're both on there, and that will probably count too. Anyway, let me know in the comments if that worked. I would genuinely be super interested. So thank you very much. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, consider subscribing, and if you haven't already, check out my podcast. I do a daily podcast every weekday right here on YouTube, and we record at 9 AM UK time. We talk about Call of Duty quite a lot, but we talk about all of the new gaming news, anything that's controversial going on. We have a good chat about it, and being here on YouTube, you can get involved, you can share your ideas, and I'll read your comments out and discuss stuff with you. Always a good time. You can also listen to the podcast on all of your normal podcast services, so things like Spotify and Google Podcasts and iTunes. It should be available absolutely everywhere, so make sure you check it out, and I'll see you for the next one. Goodbye.